And now for our final presenter, Katherine Radoslovich, from the School of Gender Studies and Social Analysis. And her topic, Under the Covers, Behind Closed Doors, Experiencing Intimacy in the Nursing Home.
Imagine yourself as a 72-year-old woman. Every Friday, your husband runs a romantic, intimate spa for the two of you to share. Now imagine your husband is diagnosed with dementia, has a sudden health catastrophe, and you have only weeks to place him in a nursing home. One thing's for sure, you won't be having any more romantic spas together. Indeed, after 12 months in care, you won't have even seen him without his shirt on. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. This was Ada and Alfie's reality. Australia's population is ageing, and it's challenging us to provide better later life care that meets not just our physical needs, but supports us to maintain our most significant relationships. As a society, we actively discredit the role of sexuality and intimacy in the lives of older people. Who here has cringed at the thought of their parents, let alone their grandparents, having sex? Who has giggled at an older couple holding hands, or sneered at a so-called dirty old man who dares to show an interest in later life sexuality? Against this backdrop of ageism, it is easy to create an aged care system which forgets to accommodate opportunities for sexual expression, intimacy, and the maintenance of our most significant relationships. This is where my research comes in. Before I began, almost all research looking at sexuality in nursing homes had focused on staff reactions to so-called problem behaviours. No one had asked older people themselves about how their most important relationships had changed once they were in care, and about what aged care providers could do to best support their needs. Over the course of 18 months, I interviewed 13 couples and 7 staff at 3 Adelaide nursing homes and asked them these very questions. By listening to the voices of older people, I discovered systemic challenges to the experience of privacy. As 62-year-old Jenny put it, you never get 2 uninterrupted hours together. Mabel would give her husband Clarence handjobs in the bathroom, because in their mid-80s, that was the only place they felt guaranteed privacy. And meanwhile, Stanley and Ada explained to me how simple things like feeding their partner dinner became acts of intimacy when other opportunities for intimate expression were denied. Underlying this is a tension over ownership of space. The nursing home is both someone's home and someone else's workplace. So how do we determine who controls entry into a room or controls scheduling? By sharing these stories, I hope to change and challenge our perceptions of sexuality and intimacy in later life, and to help design an aged care system for the future, one which places supporting meaningful relationships at the centre of everything we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Katherine. So the question that I have is more around where the research could go from here as far as looking at elder people's autonomy and ability to really speak for themselves in these homes, and also the impact it will have on their quality of life if they are given that sort of autonomy and freedom. So if you can speak to that?
Yep. Thanks, Kiara. So one of the big things that's come out of this is looking at the way we train staff in residential aged care. Within our education curriculums, including the Certificate 3 in aged care and our nursing curriculums, there's very little on sexuality in later life. So part of what's important is having an awareness that sexuality and intimacy across the gender spectrum exist in later life, but it's also empowering staff to be prepared to encounter these things in care and to respond to them, which in turn will help support older people to stand up and say, actually, my husband's here visiting at the moment, I don't want you to empty the bins, can you come back in 2 hours? And create a system of acceptance where wanting time alone or time together is not a point for embarrassment. You're not going to be worried about people gossiping. It's accepted. But that does require empowerment of older people and of staff themselves to be prepared to respond to the situations they find on the floor.